If there was any particular genre that I've enjoyed playing the most recently, it would have to be the roguelike genre. The threat of losing your progress is an incredibly exciting concept since it actually makes you feel accomplished when you beat the game. Unlike most other game genres, roguelikes actually have consequences for not doing things correctly. In most games, you'll lose a life or just have to restart a level, but in roguelikes, you'll have to restart the entire game. Not only do roguelikes give you an adrenaline rush, but they can also be slightly addicting due to the RNG nature of power-ups and the runs themselves. You never know what to expect, and you're always hoping that this will be the run that you win. Besides the typical roguelike genre where you lose everything upon death, there are also roguelites. A roguelite is a game where you can purchase or earn some sort of permanent upgrades that will carry over to new runs. There's definitely a distinction there, but this list will include both types of games. This video is also the second part, so if you haven't seen part 1 yet, then check out the link in the description. Before I jump into the video, I want to briefly mention our gaming podcast, Cuboidcast. In this podcast, the three of us in the Cuboid crew hang out and talk about our favorite games. We also do fun little challenges and activities at the end of each episode, and we'd love for some viewers to stop by and interact with us. We'd love to hear from you, so definitely stop by our other channel when you have some extra time. With that being said, let's get into the video. Deflector Specimen 0 is a small snippet of a full roguelike with a lot of replayability. It's set in a really interesting sci-fi universe, and it reminds me a lot of the popular game Hades. Everything about this game feels polished and high quality. While it's just a demo, you can play it as much as you want, just like you would a regular roguelike. The game has a really interesting upgrade system where you basically modify your DNA and then connect new mutations to it. Around the levels, you can find shops or power-ups that let you create longer DNA strands to get more mutations, which then power you up in some way. The movement and combat are incredibly smooth, so much so that it's better than a lot of bigger budget games like it. Your character gets a shield that you can use to deflect enemy projectiles, as well as a boomerang. This combination gives you a lot of flexibility in the combat, and I can see it taking a while to master. You can do insane combos, like throwing your boomerang and deflecting it multiple times back into the enemy, all while deflecting and dodging their projectiles. It's very satisfying once you get the hang of things, and I highly recommend checking it out. In-game adventure, Legend of Monsters is a very oddly named game similar to the game Nuclear Throne. It really does seem like a lower budget replica of Nuclear Throne, and it actually used to be a paid game. Now it's 100% free, and it's a lot of fun if you don't have any money for other games. It's a very buggy game, like my character's sprite spazzing out every time I moved, but it has enough content to give several hours of playtime. I do find the combat to be pretty satisfying, and if I didn't already own Nuclear Throne, then this would be the best free alternative. Sometimes random projectiles would hit me from across the map and instantly end my run. I'm not really sure why these things happen, but if you can overlook that, then it's a very fun game. It also has more roguelite mechanics, with shortcuts opening every time you beat 4 levels. It's definitely a low budget game, but since it's free, I still recommend giving it a shot. The Slime King's Tower is a very obvious Binding of Isaac clone, but it's also very well done. It doesn't have the weird atmosphere of the Binding of Isaac, but it has the level structure, upgrades, and even the same combat style. It's a dungeon crawling experience with the same crazy power-ups and enemy types that we've come to enjoy from roguelike games in general. One thing that really surprised me was finding out that this game is also on mobile. I'm pretty sure it was mainly a mobile game to begin with, and then later ported to Steam, and if that's the case, then this is a really good port. There are some moments of clunkiness that can be easily overlooked and forgotten about. Some of the game's negative reviews were complaining that it's just a worse Binding of Isaac. That part is true, but since this game is free, you can't really expect anything huge from it. Obviously, if you already own Binding of Isaac, you have no reason to get this game, but for those who don't own the game, This is a really great game that you don't want to miss out on. B12 is a really odd first or third person roguelike where you play as a robot destroying other robots. The whole game has a very unique feel to it, and I found it very refreshing to see a new concept like this. The levels are randomized and decently hard to complete, but the environments look amazing. You never really know what to expect in a level, which makes it exciting to see new areas. There is some minor clunkiness in the movement, but it also manages to make that clunkiness fun at the same time. The most clunky part of the game is definitely the combat, because sometimes your plasma cannon just decides it doesn't want to shoot. You'll click it several times and finally it'll activate, but I have no idea if this is just a bug or a really bad feature. You can use your hand plasma cannons to destroy other robots and complete the levels while running around and parkouring. I honestly still don't know what genre this game would fall into besides a roguelike, and I really enjoy it. The game lets you grab onto walls and climb, giving the player yet another way to move around the map. Probably my favorite part about this game is that it doesn't feel like it restricts the player at all. You have the freedom to run, jump, and climb wherever you want, and that's just a great feeling. The minimalist graphics are also something that I really love, and overall it's a really fun free game that's well worth your time. Outpost was a game that I never expected to enjoy as much as I did. It's a roguelike tower defense survival game, and it can be very addicting. I actually needed to force myself to stop playing the game because I needed to finish the rest of this video. The game starts out like most survival games, with you needing to chop wood and craft some items. Instead of crafting a wooden house or tools, you craft turrets to defend your base. Night happens very quickly, and when it does, the monsters will attack. The turrets and defenses you placed need to defend your crystal from the enemies, or else it's game over. During the survival, you'll earn points based on how many waves you get through. These points can be used to unlock permanent upgrades and things to help you progress into more waves. If this game does have an endgame, I'm not really sure what that involves. To me, it just looks like a game with the goal of surviving as long as possible. The addicting part of this game is when you start getting a ton of points from these levels and getting new power-ups, and then you have to play another round to try out these upgrades. It's a cycle that can continue for a long time, and I really enjoyed my time with it. The minimalist style of the game makes it look really clean, and you can focus solely on defending your base. If any of that sounds interesting to you, then I think you're really going to enjoy playing this game. Those are some of the best free roguelikes on Steam. Games like these are really hard to find sometimes, and it requires playing a lot of really badly made games to find the good ones. If this video helped you at all, leave us a like and subscribe to Cuboid Gaming. That's all for this video. We'll see you in the next one.